Hello comrades, you may sit down. You are watching RedIvanAirsoft and today's lecture will be about Dragunov Sniper Rifle made by LCT. But hold your horses. First, historical notice, then the theory, and only after the practical part. During the Second World War, the Red Army had two sniper rifles, the bolt-action Mosin sniper rifle and the sniper version of the Tokarev self-loading rifle, SVD 40, which was preferred by Lyudmila Pavlichenko. Every modern kid knows that self-loading rifles are only for marksmen, while real snipers use only bolt action. I wish we could ask Lyudmila Pavlichenko on whether she identified herself as marksman or a sniper, or maybe she was non-binary. I personally think that the application of today's doctrines to the reality of the last century is at least strange. And back in 40s, even US had two self-loading sniper rifles based on the M1 Garand, M1C and M1D. And XM21 was developed with the beginning of the Vietnam War and trialed since 1969. XM21 is a sniper complex based on the M14, which was periodically used by the black belt of the long-range shots Carlos Hancock, Carlos Hitchcock, Carlos... who knows how to pronounce it, seriously?
Carlos Half-Kick.
But we must point that his main rifle was Winchester Model 70. You should also know that since the end of the Second World War and all the way till mid-60s, and in some countries until mid-80s, the main personal weapon of the NATO countries' squad was so-called battle rifle, the self-loading rifle chambered in 7.62 by 51 NATO. And no one in the squad was issued with optics. So what's now? Everyone in the squad has a marksman rifle? Or no one? Anyway, let's come back to our topic. Soviet leadership decided that there is a need for a new self-loading sniper rifle, requirements for which were formed in 1957. In 1958, trials of the first samples began, and in 1963 the Dragunov's variant was adopted. Over the years of the rifle's production, the handguard, the dust cover, the front sling swivel, and even the rifling twist has changed. But in general, the concept of the rifle has remained the same. In 1994, the production of the bullpup version called SVU began. However, originally SVU was developed back in 1990. In 1995, the production of SVDs for airborne forces began. It was also developed in the Soviet Union in 1991, but the production began only in 1995. The most modern version of the SVD rifle at this moment is SVD-M, adopted in 2015. But no one will give a combat rifle in your untrained hands. First, you need to practice on the airsoft training rifle, and today we'll discuss the new product in this field, imported from the fraternal Asian country SVD by LCT. Just look at this fancy advertisement. Sniperskaya vintubka Dragunov. Unfortunately, it looks like our Asian comrades do not have electricity or an internet access, as 2 out of 3 words are incorrect here. It should be Sniperskaya vintovka Dragunova. LCT released 3 versions of the SVD. Old SVD with wooden furniture, modern SVD with plastic furniture, and SVDs with folding stock for the airborne units. Version with the wooden furniture comes without a cheek razor, which is sad considering the cost of 1000 American rubles. And I want to remind you that Chinese real sword version for 800 American rubles came with both cheek razor and the replica of the PSO scope. But we installed real cheek razor and the PO scope on our rifle, so not a big deal for us. All external parts except furniture are made of steel, magnet sticks even to the bolt and the trigger. The receiver is milled, but the metal is badly finished, as it has perceptible traces of milling, unlike the real SVD. And even safety lever won't completely close from the box. On one hand, it was an easy fix for our handy personnel. But for 1000 American rubles, I bet you don't want to fix nothing. Markings are correct. When the lever is up, you see Russian letter P below it. P is предохранитель, Russian for safety. Once the lever is down, you see O above it. O is огонь, Russian for fire. For SVD, these markings and their location is correct, so AK users should get used to it. In general, this sample very accurately copies the original rifle of the early years of production. This dust cover with rivets is exactly like on the rifles produced in 60s. However, at the same time, this dust cover would not be correct for the late production rifles. So the rifle with plastic furniture should have something similar to this. Under the handguard there is an exact imitation of the short stroke gas piston, which is disassembled as the real one. But there are also some minuses. The gas regulator block, for example, is completely incorrect. This is how this element should look. And on the LCT SVD, for some reason, the latch is locked from above and there are no markings. It is cool that the case can be inserted in the opening for the rim, but you can't insert the bullet tip into the opening for the bullet. But who cares, who would even do that? Another small minus is the front sling swivel. I have only seen this type on the rifles produced since 90s, and mostly on the Tigers. Anyway, it bent in 2 weeks, so I replaced it with the correct one. So what about the wooden furniture? The furniture is excellent. The handguard is a little thinner than the real one and has some play. But the real handguard fits here, so we put it in. However, now I will need a hammer to remove it. But as far as I remember, on the real one it is also a complicated process to remove the handguard. The buttstock is made of plywood. Since LCT SVD uses the slim motor, the size of the grip is correct and it lays in the hand very comfortable. Due to the thicker walls, it is very durable and most likely it won't crack like on SIM. Also, it has been already reported that some of our colleagues have received their rifles with defective stocks with longitudinal cracks. On one hand, longitudinal crack is different from what we discussed and it is easy to fix. But again, for 1000 American rubles, you don't want to fix nothing. And now let's discuss the disassembly. And here LCT did a great job, trying to make disassembly as close to the original rifle as it only possible on the Airsoft AEG. Remove the magazine, turn the lever and remove the dust cover. Unscrew the spring guide and remove the spring guide and the bolt imitation. Next, remove the handguard. Remove the imitation of the gas piston and the pusher. Release the screws under the rear side and remove the barrel. Take out the inner barrel with the hop-up unit. Note, in our case it is not a stock inner barrel. The length of the original inner barrel is 700 mm. In our understanding, it is redundant, so we took it out and use it as a pointer. Turn the safety lever to find the position in which it can be removed. Same thing with the smaller lever. You need to find the right position to remove it. Remove the trigger frame. On the real rifle, complete trigger assembly would be in this frame. But on the Airsoft rifle, this trigger frame is just a gearbox cover. Remove the screw on the trigger frame axis and the screw on the electronic motor. Take out the gearbox. Although it is based on the real sword gearbox, it has several differences. For example, the lack of the recess for connection with the hop-up unit. The gearbox features the quick release spring, but the spring cannot be released until the screws around it are loosened. So it is not that quick release and you will need to take the gearbox out anyway to release it. And now you can see what's inside the gearbox. Here we have a lot of pros, but unfortunately this pros turns to cons. The electronic trigger unit is definitely a plus, but this one is unique and the board partially hangs over the bearing. As you know, LCT gears are often very tightly fitted into the bearing. And here's what happens. You open the gearbox. Gear moves with the gearbox wall, along with the bearing, which presses against the sensor, trying to break it. This electronic trigger unit is unique and LCT does not sell the replacement, so it turns out that after a couple gearbox disassembles, you risk to break the ETU and become the happy owner of the trigger from CIMA or LCT, if any of those fit here. The next unique element is the cylinder. The cylinder here is larger in diameter than the standard SR25 type cylinder, but at the same time it is ported. Ported cylinder with a 700 mm inner barrel, Karlov. Our entire command personnel tried to order normal cylinder from LCT through our resident spies in VGC shop. But after the long negotiation and the request to show the serial number of our rifle, LCT sent us another ported cylinder and told us that normal cylinder won't fit to our rifle. It is unfortunate that LCT thinks that Soviet engineers are stupid and we do not know what we can or cannot put in our rifles, but at least now we have another spare cylinder, because you cannot buy it somewhere on the market, non-regular one, non-ported. Unique cylinder implies the uniqueness of the entire cylinder piston group. There is a chance that LCT RPD cylinder head and piston will fit the SVD, but they are rare too. And it is still not clear what about the piston head. It looks similar to the standard one, but logically it should have bigger diameter. 3 out of 4 gears are standard, but the 4th gear is unique and LCT does not sell the replacement. And the last unique part is the hop-up unit. It is based on the real sword hop-up unit, but worse implemented. Firstly, it is not attached to either barrel or the gearbox, and it can be easily displaced. Secondly, due to the changed dimensions and the lack of the recess in the gearbox, some aftermarket units such as Combat Union hop-up cannot be installed here. LCT SVD uses proprietary magazines. 5 out of 10 hours have some play, which may displace the hop-up. LCT SVD has the most durable and the most authentic full steel externals on the market since Real Sword was discontinued. Internally it does not require any updates, all parts are pretty good, but once something is broken with the amount of the unique parts and complete absence of the support from LCT, it will turn into the expensive wall hanger. It would be desirable to change the hop-up unit to something that can be stably fixed to the gearbox, but it cannot be done without changing the gearbox and modifying the outer barrel. Therefore, despite the fact that our entire personnel likes this rifle, unfortunately we cannot recommend it for purchase until LCT will start supplying the spare parts. Subscribe to our channel, put like, lesson is over, see you soon.